She looked right at him, tears half dried, heart half closed, and still said, "No. Not even a real no. Just that. Painful, breathy, I don't know." And the worst part, Matt had nothing but a string, no diamond, no grand gesture. Nothing but raw intent, shaking knees. And love scribbled in invisible ink. He tied a literal piece of string to her finger, desperate to tie her to something more permanent. And Jasmine, she couldn't bring herself to lie. "You're watching TLC Drama Files and I'm Oliva." If your jaw dropped when Jasmine hesitated at that proposal, you're not alone. Be sure to hit subscribe because it's about to get so much worse. And I want to know your take on what happens next. Was Jasmine right to pause, or is Matt about to break for nothing? The setup looked sweet, even if it was a little budget. String ring, candle light, baby Matilda napping, tears bubbling up from both sides. Emotionally, they felt synchronized. But Jasmine's silence was deafening. You could practically hear Matt's heart hit the ground before she spoke. And when she did speak, it only hurt more. "I love you," she said. "But I don't trust yet. And I'm scared." He had just told her he'd love her, right? Even if it wasn't perfect. But it still wasn't enough. Why does someone say, "I love you," and then still say, "I don't"? No. Fear, sure, trauma. Fine. But this pause wasn't just emotional guardrails. This was exhaustion, months of chaos, a rushed relationship twisted by lies, a surprise baby, divorce papers still unsigned, and a mountain of trust she hasn't climbed yet. Can you really say yes to the next chapter if the last one's still being written? Matt tried to laugh it off at first. He said it wasn't a real proposal, that it was symbolic. That he just wanted her to consider marriage. But that felt like backpedaling. Even Jasmine looked confused by that pivot. She didn't say no, but she also didn't look excited. And Matt, that boy, cracked seconds. After saying it's fine, he spilled the disappointment boiling in his chest. He said he felt like a dummy. Said he's exhausted. Said he's been pushing just to stand still with her. And honestly, who could blame him? But Jasmine isn't the only one doubling back. We're turning things upside down because Gino's not done yet. Some men heal after heartbreak. Gino made a frozen meat and cheese plate, microwaved a stale-looking sausage, and declared war. Alone in his kitchen, wearing that same hat like it's glued to his scalp. This man isn't moving on. He's marinating in resentment. Chewing through regrets with each salty bite, muttering about betrayal as if Jasmine personally invented deception. But this isn't grief anymore. It's strategy. He's not crying over photos. He's Googling immigration law. And that should terrify everyone. Gino's hurt, no doubt, but hurt turned bitter. And now bitter starting to look like obsession. He's convinced Jasmine played him like a violin, milked him for everything, and dipped. And now baby's here. It's not his, but on paper, on legal paper, it still might be. Because Gino's name is tied to Jasmine. On official documents. And that baby popped out before the divorce was final. His vibe right now isn't closure. It's more like I want to destroy whatever peace you're trying to build. Gino says. He wants his money back. Says Jasmine. Committed adultery. Frames her like an international scammer who deserves deportation. But here's the thing. He's not calling an accountant or a therapist. He's calling an immigration attorney. That's not heartbreak. That's a playbook. But is this even about Jasmine anymore? Or is this about Gino needing to feel like he didn't lose control? He says Jasmine cheated with the guy from the gym. Okay, then let her go, right? Except Gino's stuck, not in love, in control. When love falls apart, some people take time to heal. Gino's taking notes, cross-referencing court filings, staring at his phone like it insulted his ancestors. And it's here, right here, where the bitterness curdles into something darker. He doesn't say he misses her. He doesn't say he wants closure. He wants repercussions. Gino's not trying to rebuild his life. He's trying to take hers down with him. Because if he had to suffer, Jasmine doesn't get to smile. And the worst part, in his head, that makes him the victim. He's claiming his bank accounts been hijacked. His time wasted. His love scammed. But let's ask the real question. Who was feeding the fantasy? Jasmine wasn't hiding the chaos. Gino kept offering more. More money, more time, more visas. Now it's all sinking. And instead of swimming, he wants to drag her down, too. Let's be real. When your ex is still your hobby, something's broken. And it's probably not their passport. But wait, this spiral isn't over. Because the second he pulls up that draft folder titled Gino's dating profile rough graph, you know, we're about to see a man in free fall. And just when you think Gino's hit rock bottom, he picks up the phone. Matt's mom walked in with a Bible in her heart and hope in her smile. She believed her son was engaged to a woman who loved him, having a baby who would secure their forever. What she didn't know, every part of that story was cracked. Jasmine's not just engaged, she's still legally married. The baby isn't Matt's. And Matt, he's been lying to keep this whole fairy tale from collapsing on contact. But here they are, smiling, pouring tea, pretending guilt doesn't have a scent. Jasmine tried to hold it together. You could see it in the way her hands fidgeted, eyes darting for safe ground. Matt's mom is deeply religious with generations of morality. Expectations sitting on that couch beside her. To Jasmine, this isn't just a meeting. It's a confession waiting to backfire. And Matt, he didn't just dodge the tough conversations. He built a box of lies to trap everyone in. First, the fake engagement. He told his mom it already happened. No heads up to Jasmine. No warning. He just fabricated it to make his mother relax. When Jasmine confronted him, he said it was to protect her from what? From truth. From scrutiny, or from the shame he Hasn't fully unpacked. And that's not the only thing tucked away in his lies. Jasmine's not divorced. She's still married, which means under that roof, with the Holy Cross gift hanging in her hand, she's nodding along to a life she hasn't legally left yet. It's not just awkward, it's dangerous. Because when trust meets religion, disappointment lands like a sin. Matt's unraveling and he doesn't even see it. He tells Jasmine to just go along with it. Let mom think the engagement is real. Let the smiles linger a little longer, but Jasmine's not wired that way. She's fiery, blunt, emotional. She doesn't do quiet lies. And now guilt's bubbling fast. Matt's sister shows up, too. All warm and curious. But they both still think Jasmine's the sweet fiancé starting a new family with their golden boy. The tension, it's thick. It's swallowing the room slowly. Every sentence said feels like it's tiptoeing around the elephant no one can name. And here's where everything gets twisted. Matt thinks silence will protect everyone. Jasmine believes silence is betrayal. And the longer they keep the truth buried, the louder the fallout becomes in their heads. This isn't love. It's pressure, wrapped in politeness. Matt wants to keep Jasmine hidden in a version of her that won't offend, won't alarm, won't make the family question his future. But Jasmine's not shrinking for anyone anymore. And she's moments away from pulling the plug on this silent performance. It only takes one cracked smile for the entire room to fall apart. And Jasmine's about to break her silence with the one detail Matt begged her to bury. But everything Jasmine fears is about to explode in front of the one woman Matt hoped would never know. Matt's mom looked genuinely touched as she held the engagement cross, fully convinced she was blessing a holy union. Jasmine hugged her back, said thank you, smiled like she meant it, and looked one heartbeat away from a full collapse. Every word exchanged over tea was balancing between guilt and performance. But Jasmine, she wasn't built for lying to families and calling it love. Not now. Not after the mess she just escaped with Gino. Matt kept tugging Jasmine's arm under the table, whispering cues like this was amateur theater. Smile more. Don't mention your marriage. Say it like this. Avoid that topic. You could see the frustration cracking into her face with every whisper. Jasmine's job in this moment wasn't just to be polite. It was to validate a version of their story that didn't exist. Matt didn't just put her in a tight corner. He locked the door and swallowed the key. This was faith crashing into facts. In Matt's family, you marry before you have children. You stay loyal. You don't curse. You certainly don't hand your mother a grandchild with a woman who's still legally married to another guy. Jasmine didn't want to lie, but she also didn't want to ruin the family's first impression until the pressure became too heavy to hold upright. Cue the porridge scene. Trying way too hard to compensate, Jasmine cooked let's call it an experimental porridge for the family. Seemed sweet, family-friendly. Only problem, it looked like jail food. boiled in regret. Even her smile couldn't save it. No one said anything. At first, until the sister tried one bite and winced like it bit her back. Matt covered it up with fake compliments. Jasmine, mortified, but still tried to laugh. You could read what was going through her mind as clear as day. Here I am lying about my life while forcing oatmeal on strangers who think I'm the Virgin Mary. Awkward doesn't even cover it. But levity turned quickly because somewhere between the cross gift and the failed porridge, Jasmine had enough. She whispered to Matt, "Tell her now." He froze. She pushed again. "Tell her the truth." Matt's heart pounded through his collar. And to Dan's credit, he finally did it. "Mom, we're not engaged." I lied. "She's not divorced. There's more going on." Her face shattered. The room went from Sunday dinner to public confession in seconds. Jasmine added her voice. "She's still in the process of divorcing. The baby isn't Matt's. The timeline is messy. The feelings are real, but the facts have been borrowed, bent, or flat out buried. And the kind, smiling mother who led grace moments ago, now she's crying into her hands. And somehow this isn't even the loudest truth Jasmine's hiding, because the real father of the baby still hasn't entered the conversation. But he's about to become the center of it. And when he finally admits the truth, Jasmine's status, the lies, the pregnancy twist, silence falls. But the explosion starts now. The moment the words left her lips, the air left the room. Jasmine stood there, eyes shaking but unblinking. Voice caught between courage and collapse as she said, the baby, it's not Matt's, it's Gino's." The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was catastrophic. Matt's mother blinked slowly, like her brain needed extra seconds to process what she just heard. One fragile moment ago, she thought they were celebrating new life, new beginnings, love, conquering odds. Now, the man sitting across from her had just helped raise a child that biologically wasn't even his. And the woman she called daughter-in-law to be, still married to her last mistake. Matt froze. His eyes widened, then narrowed, then softened into hurt. You could see it. The calculation, the chaos, trying to realign this new truth with the future he thought he was building. Jasmine broke it gently, but gently didn't make it easier. She said the timeline with Gino overlapped. That she didn't know how to admit it. Didn't want to wreck their safe little bubble, didn't want to ruin the family's vision. And even now, she kept calling Matt her support system. But it hit differently with the truth finally out in the open. Matt's mom whispered something about prayer, about giving it all to God. With tears in her eyes and a desperate kindness that somehow remained intact, she said she would still support them. She wasn't yelling. She wasn't judging. But you could tell her heart broke just a little more with every baby related sentence. And here's the real tragedy. This wasn't even about betrayal. This was about timing, confusion, and two people trying to force a happily ever after before the old chapter had even closed. Jasmine didn't cheat on Matt. She was pregnant. Before they were serious. Maybe even before Matt knew what he wanted. But telling the truth now in front of his grieving Bible-holding mom, that wasn't damage control. That was a landslide. Matt processed it the only way a man in shock can. Quiet, robotic, frozen in place. He thanked Jasmine for sharing. Then looked down, then went completely silent. The man who always had something to say about loyalty, building trust, forming a family, couldn't even hold eye contact. For Jasmine, it didn't end there. She transitioned from crying to explaining, from explaining to apologizing, from apologizing to justifying. She said she was trying to be honest now because the lies were too heavy to carry. That he deserved the truth. That Matilda deserved it, too. That faking the facade felt like committing a crime with every smile. Matt's sister jumped in at this point, asking questions so direct they made the air colder. Who's on the birth certificate? Does Gino have rights? Are we going to court now? Jasmine didn't have answers. Only more weight. Because what happens when the biological father is still legally married to the mother? Does that come with legal custody? Baggage? Emotional proof problems? Immigration implications? Gino's failure to let go just got an ugly new justification? And he probably knows it. Jasmine knows it, too. That's why she's rushing for a DNA test. Not because she doubts it's Matt's baby, but because she's terrified Gino might weaponize the connection. This isn't just a scandal anymore. This is a custody case waiting to happen. And somewhere buried inside all of this, you have to pause and ask, who's the real villain here? Jasmine for delaying the truth? Matt for staging a fake engagement to cover the shame? Or Gino, whose bitterness might become the courtroom joker card? Maybe no one. Maybe all three. The emotional chaos is messy. But the legal consequences, they're about to make reality TV look like court TV. And Jasmine just handed Gino the ammo he needs. Because while the paint on smiles fade, the legal trail does not. Matt's mother tried to pull the mood back towards compassion. She prayed again, said, God forgives. Tried to warm Jasmine's hands in her own, and repeat that we're all sinners. But none of that fixed the ice crack that had split the room in two. The more she tried to be kind, the more Jasmine looked like the villain. Not because she is, but because she chose honesty later than she should have. And Matt, he's not okay. He stood up, walked out, came back, sat down, looked at Jasmine like she was familiar, but not the woman from earlier that afternoon. His words came slowly, like he was dragging them from somewhere deep and unwilling. So, it's Gino's baby and you were going to keep that from us? Jasmine pushed back. Said it wasn't hiding. It was processing. That she told him in private and now she was telling the family. Said it wasn't a lie. But Matt, already drowning in information, heard something different. He heard strategy. That's when Jasmine snapped. She leaned forward, eyes still wet, jaw clenched. You think I've been lying? You, Matt? You're the liar here. You lied to them. You said we were engaged. You made up a story to make yourself look good. You started it. And there it was. The emotional tables flipped in real time. Matt went on the defensive. And Jasmine, she wasn't sobbing anymore. She was charging. Because in her eyes, Matt controlled the narrative. He crafted the lie. She protected it. Both played the game, but now only one is holding the consequences. And that doesn't feel like accountability. It feels like betrayal. But here's the twist. While Matt's reeling, Jasmine calls him the liar. Matt waited until the night swallowed everything. No lights except the porch. No sounds except the faint cries coming from inside. Jasmine had gone quiet. Not angry, not explosive. Quiet in that dangerous way people get when their emotions are balancing on the edge. And one wrong word could knock them into the deep end. And out on that porch, Matt still hoped love would fix what truth broke. He pulled the string out of his pocket again. Not a ring, not a symbol. A forever that sparkles under store lights. A string frayed and clumsy, a metaphor for everything they are, tied together hastily, pulled between tension and softness, unraveling in places. And still he offered it again. Voice trembling, hands open, eyes pleading. I don't want to lie, he told her. I don't want to pressure you. I just want to try. And for a second, Jasmine almost smiled. She looked at him the way people look at old photos, fond, cautious, full of questions they forgot they had. Maybe it was love. Maybe it was memory. Maybe it was grief for the girl she used to be. Before Gino turned her into someone who second-guesses softness. Because love didn't always mean safe. Not to Jasmine. Gino told her he loved her, too. But when she needed him, he vanished behind judgment, behind silence, behind cheap promises that never made it past his front door. He gave her crumbs, then blamed her for being starving. She thought she had a partner. She ended up with a babysitter who never showed up. And Matt is trying. No one can say he isn't. He feeds her, feeds the baby, kisses her head in public, defends her to strangers. He sweats through interviews trying to explain their chaos in the kindest language he can find. But trying doesn't erase feelings you've already bled through. Jasmine isn't numb. She's traumatized. So when he said, "Will you marry me?" she didn't hear a question. She heard risk again. "I love you," she said instantly without pause. Then, "But I don't know." And that stung deeper than a clean no ever could. It's not just that she said no. It's that she said maybe in the most heartbreaking way, because nothing hurts like loving someone enough to wish you were ready and still not being there. Matt tried to keep it together. He nodded, looked away, said he understood. But you could feel him sink. Not just from sadness, from exhaustion. He's been building his case since this relationship began. That he's better than Gino. That he's different. That he won't bail, won't lie, won't disappear emotionally. That if he just does enough, she'll feel safe. But maybe love isn't about outperforming a ghost. Jasmine wasn't rejecting Matt. She was rejecting her own fear. But in love, perception is everything. And Matt's about to translate heartbreak into resentment. Matt's been climbing a hill with her on his back. And tonight he realized she's still facing the other direction. Still half thinking about the man who dropped her in the dirt the first time. Still unsure if Matt's hands are real or rented. He told her he supports her. Told her he'll wait. Then walked FT to the other side of the porch and sat down like a statue. For a long time they didn't say anything. Jasmine watched the yard. Matt watched the sky. No one said we'll be okay. No. One said this will pass because they didn't know. Maybe it would pass. Or maybe this was the beginning of their slow ending. She reached for his hand. Eventually. He didn't pull away, but he didn't grip back either. It would have been a lovely ending. Messy people. Trying, failing, but still showing up. Love as most of us know it. Imperfect. But fighting for air. But Matt's wheels didn't stop turning. Silence didn't mean acceptance. It meant recalculating. Because rejection doesn't break Matt. But rejection doesn't end things for Matt. It ignites something else. The tension had barely cooled when the preview rolled. And the minute Jasmine opened her mouth in the towel, all teaser, everything snapped back into chaos. One sentence. That's all it took. Gino, you're the only man I've ever really loved. Wait, what? Matt was standing just feet away, silent, still, watching Jasmine confess her heart to someone she swore she'd moved on from. Cameras rolling, mic hot, Gino blinking. Twice as if even he couldn't believe she said it out loud. It didn't look edited. It didn't feel out of context. It landed like betrayal in real time because either this was a disgusting act of emotional cheating or Gino's about to get served the greatest fake out in TLC history. Jasmine didn't stop there. She added the nail. I never wanted to be with Matt. And you could almost hear producers collectively drop their clipboards. Was it honest spite, a trap, a script? Nobody watching could answer that with certainty, including Matt, who stood frozen in real time, processing every syllable in front of an audience of millions. The man who proposed with a string, who defended her to his entire family, who raised another man's baby, listening to his supposed fiancé whisper confessions to her ex. Like nothing had ever changed. Here's the thing. This didn't look like closure. It looked like backpedaling. Like Jasmine keeping one foot inside the door that hurt her while dragging promises out of the man trying to build her a whole new house. But it gets messier because there are also new rumors flying around. Some swirling before the tell all even taped. A girl. A message, a slip-up Matt hasn't addressed. Jasmine allegedly confronting him off camera about another woman. Some fans think it was before their relationship got serious. Others swear it happened during the baby months. Either way, the vibe shifted hard. The victim narrative didn't hold up clean anymore. What we're watching isn't just a love triangle. It's emotional dodgeball. Two people with 5 open wounds each. Both flinching, guarding, reacting. One moment, Jasmine's furious with Matt for not being honest. The next, she's whispering love letters to the man who left her sobbing on camera multiple times. And meanwhile, Matt's either staying loyal or playing silent revenge until the credits roll. Are they both hiding something? Are these real emotions or well-timed edits for shock value? You feel it in the teaser. The energy is off. Matt doesn't look angry. He looks done. Not screaming, not hurt. Just flat. That deadpan calm that only happens when disappointment morphs into clarity. It's not just about who cheated or who lied anymore. It's about who's still performing and who's finally out of character. Because in this story, nobody stays loyal and no truth stays buried forever. Organic handoff line. And if you think this mess is over, wait until you see what Jasmine does on camera that shocks even Gino into silence. That disaster's in the next episode. See you there.